They're desperate. They're losing. They want to intimidate you and me and everybody else. But we won't let the murder of our hero be used against us. We'll use this death as an example to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk and let the globalists know you did this out of weakness. And we're now going to peacefully expose you and speak out publicly more than ever. And then you criminals will be defeated and will be going to prison. We're about to break it all down right now. September 10th, 2025 is a day where a shot was heard around the world. Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered today in Utah while speaking to thousands at an outdoor event at a college. And the left is everywhere celebrating it. They're so happy. They had witches in groups cursing him in the week before. They had people in Utah releasing a song a month ago about killing him. We'll get to all of that. But the reason it's a shot heard around the world is he came out a few days ago with the murder of the Ukrainian 23-year-old refugee, and the left trying to cover up that it was racially motivated. The killer says, I got that white girl. And they said, he's the bad guy. He's the fascist. He's Hitler.
On August 22nd, Irina Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a savage career criminal.
Her life story, I think, will be told both in the United States and Ukraine for years to come. What do you think the importance of this story is most fundamentally?
This was one of the coldest, most senseless murders I've ever seen. She had no interaction with this guy whatsoever. She was sitting minding her own business, and he just takes out a knife and just decides to stab her. I do say this with some form of just I don't like politicizing situations like this, but it just necessitates it because there are so many dynamics at play here. Based on the information evidence we have, the attacker did say, I got that white girl. The attacker racialized it in his own telling of this situation. And we all know this. Any honest observer of your program knows this, including Van Jones even knows this deep down, which is that, of course, if a random white person on a subway took out a knife and stabbed a black girl senselessly to death, there would be massive media coverage. There would be policy changes. There would be people having to apologize for this. We saw this in George Floyd, and yet, for whatever reason, this situation has not garnered even a fraction of that kind of outrage or backlash.
And it's really captured people's attention and reminded them of Congressman Scalise getting shot and Rand Paul being attacked multiple times, his ribs broken in his home, and all the other death and destruction and lawfare and indictments and intimidation and Antifa all over the country just shooting white people in pickup trucks because they must be bad. It really sunk in to folks that all Charlie Kirk did was commit the cardinal sin for 9+ years with Turning Point USA to go to university campuses where they're trying to suppress free speech and brainwash the youth into being anti-America, anti-capitalist, anti-Christian, and educate them. And there's that video we showed right at the first, the slow motion of that high-caliber bullet reportedly shot off the roof 200 yards away right into his throat, basically instant death. Just like Jamie White got killed allegedly by the black man that put out a rap song about I killed that white Jamie White. He put a rap song out about killing him in March. That shows how horrible this crime wave is. It's not just Charlie Kirk. It's not just the poor Ukrainian woman. We are experiencing it here at the office, and it's pushed by the left and by the judges and the Soros DAs that release these killers. So Charlie Kirk will live forever. And God bless his family and everything he's done. But the left everywhere, literally celebrating this, just shows you how sick these people are. They want you dead because you're not a Satanist, you're not a pedophile, you're not a globalist. And they're not going to stop. So you can't roll over their political correctness. You can't hope they just go away. You've got to stand up against them culturally, economically, spiritually. You've got to run for office. You've got to go to city council and county commission and school board and speak out because people are dying for speech. Charlie Kirk knew he was putting his life on the line in 9 years, thousands of events at universities. He knew the left was dangerous. I've even predicted he'd probably get killed. And now it's happened. But he's not the loser here. He's the winner. Charlie Kirk decided to be exactly where he wanted to be, standing up against evil. standing up against tyrants, standing up for free speech. And some in the populist right-wing movement could say, well, he wasn't hardcore on this or he wasn't, hardcore on that. It didn't matter. He was getting millions. It's estimated over 5 million in the last 9 years, but 3 million in the last election. Young people to break from the brainwashing on the campuses and to go out and vote Republican. That is such a revolutionary act, and so he had to die. So the Democrats talk about fighting back and rising up and resisting, and we're going to have to die. We're going to have to bleed on The View.
I think you're okay with you okay with punching. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard.
I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war.
It's very clear that people will die. The baby boomers, the civil rights generation, they knew what they had to do. They were willing to fight and die for their rights. This generation of Congress, they are not meeting the moment. This is an existential crisis.
We're going to fight it in the streets.
There is power in fighting back. Power.
When the people fight, we win. When the people fight, we win.
We will not take this.
They know exactly what they're doing. They're not willing to go out and kill Congressman Scalise or try to, or Charlie Kirk. They're not willing to come up and punch me in the head or dump coffee on me. No, they're not willing to go to Butler, Pennsylvania and climb up there on top of that roof and try to kill Trump and barely graze him. Imagine what would happen if it was just an inch over. You just seen what happened to Charlie Kirk, to Trump. They just put it out there to their minions and hope they go out and carry it out. And that's the big message here. The Podesta plan from August 2020 said if Trump could win and they couldn't steal it, it's public, they'd have blue states secede to blue cities, create racial uprisings, and burn the country down and drive Trump from power. Then they produced, a few years later, the film Civil War that was released in the election year last year, fantasizing about the states coming together, marching on D.C., and killing Trump, who's only protected by a Secret Service, a Trumpian figure. So they've said they're going ahead with this plan. And you had this Tim Walz operative going and shooting the members of the government as a false flag, reportedly. You've got all this starting. And so I'm here to tell you, this is the beginning of their uprising. This is the beginning of their false flag.
He's an enemy of the nation, and yes, I'd like to see him hung by his feet by a lamppost. So I'm kind of sick and tired of all these Democrats running around talking about, here's what we're going to do to win. Motherfucker, they're not going to let you take office. The only way we're getting Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or his ilk out of power is having tens of millions in this people in the streets. And we're going to have to have a few thousand people die at the hands of cops and soldiers before people get outraged enough to actually force the government to resign.
A beheaded Donald Trump, are you calling for his death?
I am, yes. I believe it's time that the people straight cut his head off.
It's a very good chance that off of the murder of Charlie Kirk, they've got some white supremacist, drugged out MK Ultra people ready to truck bomb an illegal alien demonstration or shoot up a black college or something in their future. And then they're going to try to create the clash and conflagration out of that. And that's why they're pushing this violence. And so that's why this is so incredibly important right now, that you understand this is a bellwether event. The left knows they're losing. They know the grand juries are publicly open this time. This isn't Q rumors like 8 years ago. These are public. They know the subpoenas are going out. They know the arrests have already begun. They're already busting the human trafficking networks and the NGOs and the law firms. They had raids all over this weekend. And so, as I've said, the bad guys at this critical point are going to pull out all the stops. Because they're losing, they need violence. Because the world is waking up, they need to create the chaos and have the mass uprising like we're Nepal or something and manipulate the youth to burn down the country so there's a smokescreen to remove Trump and bring in their tyranny. Trump has deployed military in a few cities because of the Soros stand-down, defunding of the police, and the Soros DAs. It's not a police state. In an emergency, you do that, and crime has already plunged 90% in D.C. That is a protective measure ahead of what they know is coming. It's a very, very dangerous time to be alive, but it's also full of opportunity because the bad guys are doing this not through strength, but through weakness, but they're now making their main move. Now, I'm wondering when these private security firms are going to start putting people on roofs. That's another big question we've got to ask. But they do so many of these events, everybody kind of gets a normalcy bias and punch drunk. But in closing, I just want to say we love you, Charlie Kirk. We wouldn't have gotten Trump in both times without you. The enemy knew that. That's why you were target number one. We saw Charlie Kirk the last 6 months being the number one target other than Trump in the corporate media and by the Democrats. And I said publicly, Charlie Kirk, we need to pray for him because he's in a lot of danger. And for people that spent all their time criticizing him because on foreign policy disagreed with him, that wasn't his job. His job was getting people registered to vote Republican, which isn't perfect, but it's night and day compared to the Democrats. And that's why I'm